Getting to Know You was released in 1999. It's directed by Lisanne Skyler, and it's written by Lisanne Skyler and Tristine Skyler, and we have a cast including Heather Matarazzo, Zach Braff, Bebe Neuwirth. It's because of Bebe Neuwirth that I became aware of this, and while I enjoyed watching Bebe Neuwirth, and everybody gave really good performances, I didn't think it was a good film. The second half, well, maybe the final third, is definitely pretty good. I won't say what happens in the final third, but the point there is that the bulk of the film I didn't like. I don't think it worked very well, at least for me. But it does end up going somewhere that was quite interesting. Is it worth putting up with the journey to get to the destination? I'm not really sure. If there's anything about this, maybe the cast pulling you towards it, give it a go. I'd say in that regard it's worth it. But if there's no real pull factor otherwise, then it might not be worth it. It's primarily about Judith, who is in a bus station, and she meets a character there called Jimmy. And Jimmy's played by Weston, and they're talking, and they're observing the people around them, and they're kind of making up stories of what those people's lives are like. And that sounds really interesting. It's a snapshot of all of these different lives. I know it's a game that a lot of people play. Personally, I've never actually played it, usually because I try to avoid looking at people to avoid eye contact, but making up stories of people's lives is a good way of saying, well, all of these people have their own stories, their own problems. Who knows what their life is like outside of this very brief snapshot that you're getting to experience? And as a concept, it's very interesting. But personally, I don't like the execution. I just think it jumps around too much for my own liking, and I didn't really find many of those little stories to be that interesting either. The bit that did work, and I don't want to go into too much detail about this as I don't want to give away what I consider to be the good part, is the personal life of Judith. Judith's personal life, problems she's going through, family problems. That part of it was interesting. That part of it, I'd say, was well executed. Obviously, this is the story they wanted to tell. This is the way they wanted to tell the story. But for me personally, I think it would have just been a lot more interesting if they just focused more on Judith's life. And obviously this whole bus station aspect is quite a novelty and something a little bit different that many films don't really offer. It's a different method of storytelling. But for me, it just wasn't interesting. It didn't work. I didn't like jumping around that much. And as I said, I didn't find those little stories to be that interesting anyway. But I do like the concept of showing that you never know what people have going on behind closed doors. I also don't think Judith is particularly interesting as a character. Nothing wrong with her. She's not bad. I just didn't find her that interesting as a protagonist. But her family life, yes, that part of it I did think was interesting. And as a Bebe Neuwirth fan, we get a decent amount of Bebe Neuwirth, so I'm happy there. So ultimately, I'd say Getting to Know You is an interesting concept. I don't care for the execution. The journey isn't very interesting, but the final third is definitely a fascinating and quite powerful destination. So I don't know if I recommend it. I guess it depends on what you're looking for. And also the narrative structure might appeal to some people more than it does to me. So I didn't love it. But if somebody were to say they really enjoyed the structure of this, then fair enough. Different tastes, different films. This film doesn't work for me very well, but there were some good moments, as mentioned. The performances are good, and the final third, roughly, I didn't time it exactly, but the final third I thought was very, very well done. So Getting to Know You isn't perfect. I wouldn't watch it again. Maybe I recommend it if it appeals to you, but personally, apart from that final third and Bebe Neuwirth, I didn't really get a lot out of it.